It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cleveland Indians as the Dodgers get ready for their 22nd exhibition game of the season. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday. A year ago today, the Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 3-1 to open the season over in Sydney. 2 weeks from tomorrow, the regular season opens at Dodger Stadium against the San Diego Padres, and this is the time of spring training when everybody's getting to be a little bit itchy. But today, we will see three of the best young talent of the Dodgers. We're going to see Jock Peterson, Corey Seager, and Scott Schebler in the lineup.
Well, not only a little bit itchy, quite frankly, boredom is starting to set in with some of the younger players a chance to show their wares, and three, well, no better showing their wares. And Corey Seager, Jock Peterson, and Scott Schebler. All three will be in the lineup. Yes, Seager and Schebler have been technically sent out, but Peterson has, well, he's really been a house of fire. But not only the way that they've hit the ball, Charlie, the way that they've played the game defense and the way they've run the bases.
David Huff, the lefty, is gone for the Dodgers today. The Indians will counter with their Cy Young Award winner, Corey Kluber. Back with the lineups at first pitch right after this.
Switch to time.
It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cleveland Indians. 2 weeks from tomorrow, the regular season gets underway. The Dodgers so far this spring, 10-5-6. The Indians 7-11-1. The Indians a year ago finishing 5 games behind the Tigers in the American League Central Division with a record of 85-77. And the Dodgers, of course, at 94-68, 6 games in front of the San Francisco Giants. 82 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We have had nothing but picture-perfect weather practically the entire spring. The Indians have put together the following lineup under the aegis of Terry Francona. Michael Bourne will lead off in center field, and Mike Aviles at second base will bat second. Michael Brantley, a great year last year, 273 this spring, bats third and left. Carlos Santana, the one-time Dodgers switch hitter at first base. Yan Gomes, the catcher, is batting fifth. Ryan Rayburn, designated hitter, hitting sixth. Lonnie Chisenhall at third base, bats seventh. Tyler Holt in right field, batting eighth. And Francisco Lindor is batting ninth and playing at short. For the Dodgers this afternoon, David Huff will be making the start. Huff will go probably 3 innings. At least that's what the Dodgers are hoping. And then he'll be followed by J.P. Howell, Paco Rodriguez, Chris Hatcher, Joel Peralta, David Aardsma, and Yimi Garcia.
Dodgers a full workout and schedule, and back home here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale, the temperatures just continue to go up and up. And for David Huff, well, it's a new experience for the left-hander, the first time that he will be pitching as a daddy. As they had a bundle of joy was delivered on Thursday. He and his wife Ellen. So for David Huff, making the outing here this afternoon. And the theme song is also going to be, Charlie, as we talked about in the pregame show. Again, we will see some of the younger players. Jock Peterson, who's done just about everything the Dodgers could hope that he would do in his really audition to be the starting center fielder. Hitting at .472, he's in center. Corey Seager will be at shortstop. Scott Schebler will be in right. Seager and Schebler, of course, have already technically been sent out. They're going to make the active roster. But a chance to look really at the future of this ball club, and the young kids have played exceptionally well.
Defensively for the Dodgers this afternoon, Carl Crawford in left field, Jock Peterson in center, Schebler in right. Alex Guerrero's had a very solid spring at third base, Corey Seager at short, Kike Hernandez at second base, Scott Van Slyke at first, and Chris O'Brien will be behind the plate. David Huff, 6'1", 210. He's 30 years of age, born in San Diego, lives down in Huntington Beach, came up with the Indians in 2009, went 11-8 in his rookie season. And from Cleveland, he went on to the Yankees for a year or two, and then spent a bit of time with the Giants last year. So he's going to go for probably 3 innings. A couple of updates. Kershaw today feeling much better than he did certainly yesterday. Chad Gaudin, you may have heard when he was in Texas pitching the other day. Actually, where were we yesterday? We were in
yesterday was
Talking Stick is where we were. That's where we were. You know, as you were saying before about this is the time of the year when the players, everybody's getting a little bored and itchy. And the hitter is Michael Bourne. He fouls it back, nothing to do. I didn't mean to stump you. Where were we yesterday? We all looked. I don't know where we were yesterday.
I had to look at the index card.
Anyway, Gaudin came out of the game yesterday feeling a little twinge in his forearm. He's fine today. Playing catch, and he'll throw a bullpen. Michael Bourne with a fly ball to center field. Now drifting on back a couple of steps is Jock Peterson to make the catch, and that's the first out of the ball. Michael Vilas coming up, and then Michael Brantley after that. Not such good news, however, for Eric Bedard. He's going to get an MRI tomorrow. A lat strain. And as Mattingly said in his media scrum this morning, a lat strain is never any good. Now Aviles at 381, couple of RBIs. His pitch is a strike, 0-1. Bruce Streckman is calling balls and strikes today. Scott Barry, Mike Polchinski, and Gabe Morales, the umpires on the bases. Aviles 8-21 this spring. Takes a ball, 1 ball and 1 strike. Brantley on deck. And the pitch on the way is outside at low 2-1.
Yeah, so far, Huff has been working to both sides of the plate. That's really kind of the key for him. Fastball, changeup, curveball, has a slider as well.
Aviles starting at second base today. Jason Kipnis will be there starting second baseman. Tough hop and a nice play by Kike Hernandez. That was going to be a do or die, and he was able to short hop that high hopper coming in his direction.
See something else with David Huff that, quite frankly, you do not see that often with a pitcher. And that's the fact that Huff is wearing sunglasses as he is pitching on the mound.
And also on this 82-degree day, he's got the long sleeves under his jersey. 2 out, nobody on, and here's Michael Brantley. Coming off a career year last year. Now 27. Last year 327 with 20 home runs and 97 runs batted in. Takes a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. And a bouncer to second base, couple of steps to his right. Hernandez picks it up, throws out Brantley. An easy 1-2-3 inning for David Huff. Kike Hernandez against the Cy Young Award Don Mattingly in the Dodger dugout, sitting next to Tommy Lasorda and pitching coach Rick Honeycutt. And here's the lineup that Donnie's put together today. Kike Hernandez at second base. Howie Kendrick the day off. Crawford in left. Puig the DH. Scott Van Slyke at first base in the cleanup spot. Jock Peterson at 472. Batting fifth in center field. Alex Guerrero at third, to be followed by Corey Seager. And then Scott Schebler batting eighth. Chris O'Brien catching. And batting ninth against Corey Kluber. 28-year-old Cy Young Award winner last year. First pitch is a strike, and it's 0-1. Kike Hernandez at 222. He's 8 for 36, couple of home runs, and 3 runs batted in. What a story Kluber was last year. Cy Young Award winner. 18-9 in 235 and 2/3 innings. He struck out 269 batters, walked only 51. Opposing hitters hit 233 against him. Second in the majors in strikeouts, second only to David Price. The 1-1 to Hernandez is outside and low, and it's 2-1. The fourth Indians pitcher to win the Cy Young. Here's a 2-1. There's a breaking ball for a strike. 2-2.
Well, the Dodgers saw Kluber about a week ago, also pitched here. He's a guy just really relentless. He comes at you. He's every bit of a power pitcher, but the breaking stuff can also cause some fits.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hernandez came over in the Marlins deal. Takes high and inside. 3-2. Bats beginning to heat up. Of course, he could play any one of the 7 defensive positions. Probably catch in a pinch too. Starting at second base today. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Kluber deals. And Hernandez with a long fly ball to right center field. It is way back, and it is gone. A leadoff home run. Kike Hernandez, his 3rd home run of the spring. And the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. He went the other way, and it went a long way.
Payout pitch, 3-2. And a ball out over the plate. Hernandez's starts kind of a toe tap with the left toe, and then he stretches out the left side, stayed right on the ball. And that trip around the diamond, sponsored by Daniels Jewelers. And for every Dodger home run, the Daniels Jewelers family donates to local children's charities over $500,000 over the last 4 seasons. Daniels Jewelers, making diamond dreams come true since 1948.
Now Carl Crawford takes a strike. 0-1. Last year, in nearly 236 innings, Kluber gave up only 14 home runs. So the Dodgers with the early lead. Kluber deals, and Crawford takes up and in, checked his swing, and the count is 1-1. Of course, much was made about the trade that sent Dee Gordon and Dan Herron to the Marlins. Well, the Dodgers are very happy to this point what they got in return. Ground ball to second base, where Mike Aviles picks it up and throws out Crawford. First out of the first.
Part of the Dodgers contingency. They wound up flying into town about 6:30 last night. Those who went down to San Antonio. So a reuniting, if you will, this morning when Don Madden and the coaching staff had their normal meeting with the players before they got to work.
Dodgers sent out a couple of young fellas. Kyle Jensen and Matt Carson were sent to the minor league camp today. And here's Yasiel Puig. Puig at 214, couple of home runs, 7 runs batted in. Hit one in San Antonio. He swings and misses. It's 0-1. Just underway, a Hernandez home run leading off the bottom of the first. Dodgers 1-0. And Puig way late on that. So 0-2.
Yasiel Puig, he was on that trip to San Antonio, but prior to his departure going down there and playing those 2 exhibition games, his timing is still not there as far as with the lumber.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Van Slyke on deck. The 0-2 on the way. Grounded to third. Tough hop. Fielded nicely by Lonnie Chisenhall. Throws across the diamond. Puig is retired. There's 2 out. So in that deal that the Dodgers sent Herron and D. Gordon to the Marlins, Kike Hernandez, Austin Barnes, the young catcher, Chris Hatcher, who will be pitching today, hard-throwing right-hander. Got Andrew Haney, who lasted about 10 minutes with the Dodgers. He was promptly traded to the Angels. So the Dodgers very happy with what they got in return. Scott Van Slyke swings and misses, and it's 0-1. Van Slyke 7 for 26 with a home run and 5 runs batted in. Peterson on deck. Brantley, Bourne, and Holt. The outfield for the Indians. They're deep and straight away, and Van Slyke with a fly ball into left center field. This should be an easy play for Michael Brantley. It is, and that'll end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit. The leadoff home run for Kike Hernandez will go to the second, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. We head to the second inning. The leadoff home run by Kike Hernandez in the bottom of the first off Corey Kluber. And so Hernandez with his 3rd home run of the spring, and David Huff out of UCLA, first-round pick of the Indians back in 2006, retired the Indians in order in the first, needing just 9 pitches. Here's Carlos Santana, the one-time Dodger prospect, rips it foul at the 3rd baseline into the camera well. And it's no balls and 1 strike. Santana 9 out of 36 with a couple of home runs this spring. Walked 113 times last year. And he rips it just foul up the 3rd baseline, and it falls behind 0-2.
Well, if you're going to have somebody going to pitch around, it's going to be Santana. Not only the walks last year, but the last 4 seasons. He's 6 walks shy of 400.
On base percentage of .365 last year, and a ground ball to short. Corey Seager picks it up and makes it look easy. Throws across the diamond to Van Slyke, 1 out and nobody on.
Seager just set himself up, received the ball. You know, big guy Seager, 6'4" to begin with, but we're just really amazed at the soft hands that he has, is what they call it in the baseball parlance. He receives the ball, he doesn't just catch it.
So 1 out, nobody on, and here's Yan Gomes. Gomes at .250. 6 out of 24 with a couple of home runs this spring. From Brazil. Takes a ball inside and low. 1 ball and no strikes.
Everybody's enjoying this game. I mean, they're really enjoying it. Currently 83 degrees. Weatherman is saying here in Glendale. In Cleveland, it's 27.
The 1-0 is a swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. So far, 4 batters in. Huff looking free and easy. And on this Sunday afternoon, the folks are enjoying the ball game. A lot of them out on the berms in left center and right center. Gomes takes inside 2-1. Ryan Rayburn is on deck. Guerrero and Seager on the left side of the Dodger infield. Hernandez and Van Slyke on the right. Chris O'Brien is the catcher. Huff misses outside and falls behind. 3-1 to Yan Gomes. Huff the fast worker, and on 3-1. Looped into the glove at first base by Scott Van Slyke, putting his 6'5" frame to work. 2 out and nobody on.
Van Slyke in center field yesterday. Made 1 long run on the ball, and over at first base today, showing the versatility. He can play so many different positions.
And in the National League especially, it's so vitally important. For instance, today, Alex Guerrero's at third. He's played some short this spring, left field as well. The ball inside and low. 1 ball and no strikes. Kike Hernandez can play all over the field. Schebler can play the corner outfield. And a fly ball into short left field. In comes Crawford to make the catch. Good routine work so far for David Huff. Indians go down in order. 6 up, 6 down. Dodgers 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the second. Perfect Sunday afternoon. Camelback Ranch in Glendale will go to the bottom of the second. And the Dodgers with a 1-0 lead. You know, no team has more Cy Young Award winners than the Dodgers. And this season, we're celebrating with a Cy Young Pin Collectors Series presented by 76. Pick up pin number 1 featuring Don Newcomb on Monday, April the 13th. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. In fact, Duke arrived on campus today. His wife Karen. Eric Gagne is here today as well. Jock Peterson, Alex Guerrero, and Corey Seager both back for the Dodgers as we go to the second. Corey Kluber gave up the leadoff home run to Kike Hernandez and retired Crawford, Puig, and Van Slyke in succession. Kluber will turn 29 on April the 10th. Out of Birmingham, Alabama. Part of a 3-team deal involving the Padres and the Cardinals. Cardinals would get Jake Westbrook from Cleveland, along with Nick Greenwood, a lefty. And Ryan Ludwig would move on to San Diego. That deal was done in 2010. Kluber won 11 games in 2013 and then had the big bust-out season last year. 18-9 and 2.44 ERA.
Pretty special. And again, we talked about he is a power pitcher. Terry Francona, his manager, was just really impressed in watching Kluber, and in the words of Terry Francona, grow up as the season progressed.
Jock Peterson leads off for the Dodgers, takes a strike, 0-1. Peterson 472 this spring, 17 for 36 with 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and 4 doubles. He swings and misses, and it's 0-2. Peterson steps out of the batter's box, then realizes, oops, steps back in. Plate umpire Bruce Dreckman. Here's the 0-2, and Peterson takes high and away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. After missing the previous pitch and stepping out of the batter's box, he smacked himself upside the head. Now he's ready, so is Kluber, the righty, into the wind. Here's the pitch. Swung on at this, strike 3.
Yeah, good breaking ball. That is one pitch, quite frankly, that Kluber mixes in. We mentioned very aggressive. Where you show the fastball, a high leg kick to Jock Peterson. And most young pitchers, most young players are going to be tested by the pitchers on the breaking stuff.
Now Alex Guerrero steps in. 10 for 29 this spring, having an outstanding spring. Couple of home runs, 7 runs batted in. AAA last year, 329, 15 home runs and 49 runs batted in. Takes low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
So much more confidence by Gonzalez this year. He knows what's expected of him. He understands now how this game is played at this level and in this country.
Guerrero and then Seager to hit, and Alex takes a strike. And just 1 ball and 1 strike.
Charlie, we've also seen Gonzalez, in my opinion, in much more discipline as a hitter, because I think he understands his strike zone much better than what he did a year ago. Last year in spring training, it was if it was thrown, he was going to swing.
The 1-1, ground ball up the middle. Diving stop by Lindor, throw to first, and he's got a save. Bobbled by Santana. Francisco Lindor, it's only a matter of time before he becomes the everyday shortstop. Jose Ramirez has been manning it ever since Asdrubal Cabrera was traded away. Spectacular play, and it will go as a base hit. Alex Guerrero with his 11th hit.
Guerrero's calling time and walking off the bag and now bending over. You know, spring training for umpires as well, and they're switching all around. The assignments for Scott Berry, Mike Leschewski, and Gabe Morales. And not certain at first glance who's down there at the present time, but the umpire was irritated in himself. We talk about players. Well, he was irritated at first because he initially called out and then safe, rather than to wait to see how the play was actually going to unfold.
So Guerrero at first, and now the hitter is Corey Seager. 4 for 12. But above and beyond the 4 for 12, he struck out once and walked 6 times. So there goes Guerrero, and he will steal second base. Yan Gomes trying to transfer the ball out of the glove into the throwing hand. Couldn't do it. And so Guerrero's got a stolen base.
And an area that, quite frankly, we have not seen a great deal of. That's only the 10th attempted stolen base this spring by the Dodgers, but their percentage is very high. That's 8 out of 10 successfully.
A ball and a strike to Seager. Now he's going to try and, no doubt, hit the ball to the right side. Takes inside, and it's 2-1.
Seager, very quiet stance, straightaway stance. A little bit more than shoulder width apart his feet. But not a lot of extra flamboyant hand movement. He's all business in there.
As he is defensively.
Yeah, and slightly pigeon toe with his right foot.
He takes inside, 3-1.
And you know, a lot of hitters will turn that toe in the front foot in order to basically tell the rest of your body physically. And you can see where it's turned in right there. That's a good way to say, hey, look, let's keep the hip in. Don't flare that open, and also the shoulder. But very pronounced that pigeon-toed approach with the front foot.
Guerrero leads from second. The 3-1 from Kluber. Fouled off. That is 3-2 to Corey Seager. Even the first week of spring, when we were watching Seager come in the second half of games, he is in no hurry. He's a very patient hitter. He works the count. Get 6 walks in 18 plate appearances. And he's been struck out only once. On 3-2 with Guerrero leading from second. Seager takes inside and low, ball 4. That old cliche about letting the game come to him. That's exactly how Corey Seager goes about his business.
And yet there are many, many young players that are in a big hurry to hit the ball. Well, Seager is just very patient, lets it come to him.
Now another young fellow who's had an outstanding spring. We saw glimpses of Scott Schebler last year, and he was as much a curiosity as anything else. But then watching his numbers over the course of last season. And this year, a couple of home runs, 6 runs batted in, 4 doubles, 348 this spring out of Iowa. And he drills one to second base. One hop Aviles, throws to Lindor and on to Santana. That ends the inning. That's a hang with him. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We'll go to the third. Dodgers 1, and the Indians. David Huff, as we go to the top half of the third inning, has retired all 6 batters he's faced, and he's done it efficiently. 9 pitches in each of the first 2 innings, and he'll be facing Lonnie Chisenhall Tyler Holt and Francisco Lindor. Dodgers with a 1-0 lead. Kike Hernandez, a leadoff home run for the Dodgers against Corey Kluber. So here's Chisenhall, 7 out of 25 so far this spring. Left-handed hitting third baseman. First ball swinging right to the second baseman, Hernandez. One pitch, 1 out in the third. Hyun-Jin Ryu the shoulder is progressing. He'll start throwing tomorrow, and then he'll be evaluated on a daily basis. He had some anti-inflammatories shot into his shoulder the other day. Feeling better. Dodgers won't need a fifth starter until April the 14th, so they're not going to hurry Ryu along. And a call strike, 0-1 to Tyler Holt. So in all likelihood, the Dodgers will leave camp with an extra position player bunted up the third base line. Guerrero picks it up with a bare hand. He's not going to get him. Holt beats it out.
Base hit, but not a bad play by Guerrero. You're not expecting maybe at the bottom of the lineup to be laying down a bunt, and it is a dandy bunt. But Guerrero playing back behind the bag at third.
So an infield hit for Holt. And Francisco Lindor coming up. Lindor, switch hitter, batting for the right side, grounds it right to the second baseman, Kike Hernandez, and the wide throw from the shortstop Seager. That would have been a double play, but a bad throw by Seager. It deflected off the back of the mound right to Kike Hernandez. You may have heard the crowd go ooh and ah just on the freak deflection. And Seager, well, it was just too easy. And he threw it up the first base line, and Van Slyke tried to tag the oncoming runner, couldn't get him.
Well, I think that's one of the areas that I don't know if baseball will ever put it under review or not, but the adage is you cannot anticipate the double play, therefore no errors if runners do not advance. But that's a spot you say, hey, wait a minute, the big leagues, it should be an error.
It was an error except for the official scoring. Why can't you assume a double play? Especially, that's evidence right there. But either way, it's 2 out and a runner at first base. And Michael Bourne has had a good spring so far, 12 for 28. Flied to center field in his first at bat. A run and 2 hits for the Dodgers. No runs and a hit for the Indians. 2 out. Lindor is at first base, and Bourne takes outside.
Bourne is a guy that his speed has actually been, not utilized very much. Just 33 stolen bases over the last 2 years while wearing the Cleveland Indians uniform.
Well, he's also been battling a bunch of injuries. A hamstring last year sent her to the DL 3 times. And he takes a strike, 3-1. The Indians invested heavily in Michael Bourne and Nick Swisher. And to this point, they've not gotten a whole lot of return on their money.
Bourne a career high 61 stolen bases in one season.
The 3-1 to Bourne. Strike on the outside corner. Belt high, 3-2. Left-handed hitter. Three balls, 2 strikes. Lindor will be off and running with a pitch. Huff the lefty, set chest high. Here's the pitch. Fouled off to the left and out of play.
Huff has been right on the money. In fact, there's only been 2 balls that have been hit out of the infield. In the air, there's been 1 pop-up to the infield. So for a majority part, the left-handers had the ball on the ground.
Runner goes on 3-2, and Bourne with a fly ball to left field. Heading on back is Carl Crawford. He's got some room, couple of steps in front of the warning track. Makes the catch. That ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left after 2.5. Dodgers 1 and the Indians nothing. Live Dodger baseball is back in 2015 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Chris O'Brien leads it off for the Dodgers as we begin the bottom half of the third. O'Brien making the start today. Switch hitter. He takes a strike. 0-1. So A.J. Ellis and Yasmani Grandal have a Sunday day of rest. Hernandez on deck. Crawford to follow. And O'Brien swings and misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, breaking ball from Kluber. Now you see it, now you don't. As soon as you start to offer at it, it just dives inside the left-handed batter. Kluber struck out 14 batters last year in one game. It was against the Astros, but 14 nonetheless.
Outside and low. And the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-0 Dodgers. O'Brien leading it off here in the bottom half of the third. Kluber deals. Hard ground ball. Santana bobbles it momentarily. He's able to pick it up and trot to first base. O'Brien is retired. 1 out, nobody on.
Start to look at Kluber again as far as the strikeouts. Okay, 14 punch outs against the Astros. That set a career high. It was the 10th game with 10 or more strikeouts in a single game. How important is that as far as the Indians? Well, it's the first time that it happened for an Indians pitcher since 1970.
Kluber struck out 269 in 236 innings. 1 out, nobody on. Kike Hernandez, right-handed hitter, leadoff home run this afternoon. His 3rd of the year, has 4 runs batted in this spring. He swings and misses, and it's 0-1. Kike short for Enrique. Carl Crawford on deck. No radio tomorrow, television only. Line drive, 1 hop, beautiful play by Lonnie Chisenhall. Enrique Hernandez is robbed of a base hit. A full-length dive by Chisenhall, robbing Hernandez of a hit. There's 2 out.
What quick reactions. We've seen a lot of infielders, quite frankly, this spring, and normally it happens in spring training too. Maybe not picking the ball up off the bat as quickly as they would like to. Boy, that's just tremendously quick reactions there.
2 out, nobody on. Here's Carl Crawford, who bounced to second base in his first at-bat. 6 for 30. Couple of RBIs and a double. CC, as his mates call him. Fouls it off the end of the bat, off to the left toward the Dodger dugout. It's no balls and a strike. Crawford, a very solid year last year. Hit 300, 8 home runs, 46 RBIs, stole 23 bases. Out of 29. Fouls it off to the left and out of play.
And was healthy.
That was the key. He did sprain the ankle on that freak play on the Dodger Stadium warning track. But the hamstrings, the quads, the calves were just fine. This was the first time in many years that Crawford did not have to rehab a thing in the offseason. The 0-2 is inside and low, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Carl, in 13 big league seasons, a .292 career hitter. Dodgers lead Kluber and the Indians 1-0, 1-2, 2 out bottom half of the third, and Crawford tried to check his swing but went around, according to third base umpire Gabe Morales, and that ends the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We'll go to the 4th with the Dodgers leading 1-0. Joel Peralta, who will turn 39 tomorrow. Came over in the trade from the Tampa Bay Rays, along with Adam Lipitor. Last year in Tampa, Peralta, 69 appearances, a 4.4 ERA. He's a guy who's capable of going an inning or two out of the pen. And the pitching change is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. Fresh cut fries from real potatoes, shakes made with real ice cream. Fresh toasted buns and pure beef patties at In-N-Out. That's what freshness is all about. Why not stop in after the game? So, mission accomplished for David Huff today. A UCLA graduate who came up with the Cleveland Indians. 3 innings, no runs and a hit, 29 pitches, 20 strikes. Peralta overthrows the fastball down and away, 1 ball and no strikes. It'll be Mike Aviles, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana hitting in the 4th. Peralta's set. Here's the pitch. Foul back just to our right. And into Tom Hamilton's booth. Tommy, the long-time play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Indians, an old dear friend. And thankfully, he's okay. He's looking terribly embarrassed by the way he got out of the way. That was so weak, Tom. Gee. The 1-1 is lined into center field for a base hit. Aviles is aboard with a leadoff single into center field in the 4th.
Actually, I commend Tommy, because he judged his ability to catch that ball very well. He exited the area.
A man has to know his limitations. Michael Brantley coming up. Brantley coming off a career year. Bounced to second in his first at-bat, 6 for 23 this spring. His father, Mickey, had a solid major league career. And takes a strike, 0-1. Breaking ball, the kind of jelly leg, the left-handed hitting Brantley. Lives in Port St. Lucie. 7th round pick of the Brewers in 2005. And he came over in the deal that sent CC Sabathia from Cleveland to Milwaukee down the stretch in 2008. Runner goes, the pitch is low, the throw to second base is not going to be in time. So Mike Aviles has stolen a base, really picking the pocket of Joel Peralta.
Yeah, Peralta not that quick to home plate, not giving his catcher really a chance to throw. With O'Brien doing the catching here this afternoon. Good jump at first.
So the Indians with their first runner in scoring position this afternoon. Brantley, 327 last year, 20 home runs and 97 runs batted in. And he drills one to right field, way back. And over the shoulder catch made by Scott Schebler. That was a hard line drive directly over the head of Schebler and made a very difficult play. Tagging and going to third is Aviles.
Well, you get caught in between as an outfielder. Which way do you turn? Do you turn to your left? You turn to your right. Going back, Schebler knew that he did not have enough speed to get back far enough, deeply enough to the wall. Not because lack of speed, just the ball was hit that far and hit that hard. Nice play indeed.
It was a rocket off the bat of Brantley. Tagging and going to third is Aviles. Dodger lead 1-0. Aviles at third base. Infield playing back for Carlos Santana. Switch hitter batting from the left side. Second baseman Hernandez about 7 steps on the outfield grass. And a call strike to Santana, and it's 0-1.
Actually, very good base running also by Aviles. There are some runners that would have been close to third base thinking, oh, he can't get it, he can't get it. But Aviles, realizing that if the ball was not going to be caught, he could score from second base. We went back near the bag. Tag goes to third.
1 out, 1 on. Santana 9 for 37. And a fly ball into center field. Peterson is there to make the catch. tagging in on his way home and scoring, standing up, Mike Gavilas. So a sacrifice fly for Santana, and the Indians have tied the score with the Dodgers at 1-1.
Ball hit too deeply for Peterson or any other outfielder to think about throwing and having a chance to get the runner, but I did like Peterson. He stayed back behind the ball, trying to come in. I would recommend that he catch the ball more to the throwing side of his body and not catch it as high with one hand.
A couple of steps back, came running in, and all in one motion was able to throw it home, but had no chance to get Aviles. And a call strike to Yan Gomes. It's 0-1. The Brazilian-born catcher is 0 for 1.
The good base running by Aviles, the heads-up base running. He tagged and went on the catch by Schebler, and Wright went to third base. If he gets caught in between, he doesn't score in that fly ball.
The 0-1 is a swing and a miss by Gomes, and it's 0-2. More of what you want is at Nissan now, and now's the best time to get great offers on their exciting full line. Shop ChooseNissan.com and your local Nissan store today. Hurry. Offers end soon. So we're tied at 1, each team with 2 base hits, and a grounder foul toward the Dodger dugout off the bat of Yan Gomes. "21 home runs last year. Hit .278, 49 extra base hits. Threw out of about a third of would-be base stealers, so he has become one of the outstanding young catchers in the game. Two out and nobody on. Gomes on 0-2. Takes outside and low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Crawford, Peterson, and Schebler from left to right, deep and straight away for the right-handed hitting Yan Gomes. Peralta on 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3, and that will end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit, and we'll go to the bottom half of the 4th, tied at 1. Well, before we head to the home half of the 4th, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Currently starting Rick Monday, coming to you from Camelback Ranch, Glendale, Arizona. Picture perfect 82-degree Sunday afternoon. The Dodgers and the Indians and Corey Kluber facing Yasiel Puig to begin the bottom of the 4th. Puig bounced to 3rd in his first at-bat. And a fly ball to center field. That one is well hit. It is on its way, and it's gone. A home run. Yasiel Puig to slight left center field, well over 400 feet. His third home run of the spring, and the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead.
First at bat, I said, well, the timing is not there. Well, the timing was absolutely picture perfect on a ball that was on the outer third of the plate. Puig so strong. He swings, and the instant it left the bat, he knew it was going to be out of here.
And his bat flip was in midseason form. So the Dodgers on home runs by Kike Hernandez in the first. Yasiel Puig here in the fourth lead Kluber and the Indians 2-1. Todd Van Slyke takes a ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Kluber deals. And that one is drilled into left field, but in and over is Michael Brantley to make the catch. And that's the first out of the bottom of the fourth.
That trip around the diamond by Yasiel Puig, sponsored by Daniels Jewelers. And for every Dodger home run, the Daniels Jewelers family donates to local children's charities. Over $500,000 over the last 4 seasons. Daniels Jewelers, making diamond dreams come true since 1948.
Now Jock Peterson steps into the batter's box. Peterson 17 out of 37 this spring. 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Struck out in his first at-bat and takes a strike. It's 0-1. So 2 solo home runs for the Dodgers this afternoon against Corey Kluber, the Cy Young Award winner a year ago, who gave up only 14 home runs in 236 innings. He hasn't given up a whole lot of home runs in his career at any level. Fisted off the handle of the bat to third base. Lonnie Chisenhall throws across the diamond. Peterson is retired. I guess he's got some buzzing bees on his thumbs along about now.
And especially on the left thumb. A lot of clubs, I mentioned earlier about younger players. Yes, you're going to see some breaking balls. But with Peterson, with that high leg kick, and at times what looks like is an overstride, he's going to be challenged with the guys that have really good fastballs. He's going to be challenged inside, just as he was there, the 1-1 pitch.
Alex Guerrero with 2 out. Infield hit and a stolen base in his first at-bat, starting at third base today, and he lashes one foul off to the right. That is 0-1. Guerrero now 11 for 30. He started short a couple of times. He's starting at third base today. He's also played in left field and has been hitting consistently well this spring.
His footwork defensively has really improved from last year.
The 0-1 grounded slowly to third. Chisenhall picks it up, throws a strike across the diamond. Guerrero is retired. That will end the inning. But Yasiel Puig's third home run of the spring over the wall in center has given the Dodgers a 2-1 lead as we head to the fifth. Here's a reminder that you can still guarantee your seat for opening day. Mini plans still available that include opening day, all 10 bobbleheads, fireworks nights, the 4th of July, a Father's Day barbecue set, and a Tommy Lasorda garden gnome. And many more great promotions you won't want to miss this summer. Visit Dodgers.com/mini plans. New pitcher for the Dodgers, J.P. Howell. He had a good outing on Friday. No runs and a hit against the Oakland A's. Had a really rugged outing prior to that. Delivers a strike and it's 0-1. Talked to JP the other day and he said, he just stunk up the joint two outings ago, and he said felt much better in his last outing, and he had a little groin issue about a week or 10 days ago. He's fine and feeling much better. As Rayburn leading it off for the Indians here in the 5th, fouls it off to the left. No balls and 2 strikes. It'll be Ryan Rayburn, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Tyler Holt.
Well, not that J.P. Howell needs an excuse either, but while he did have that little tweak of the groin, it kind of shut him down. He was out of his normal routine, did not get into the bullpen session, so it figured that he had some rust to get rid of once he came back.
Here's the 0-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Rayburn tried to check his swing, and J.P. has his first out, a strikeout. And one thing about J.P. Howell, he doesn't sugarcoat a thing. He will tell it like it is, good, bad, or indifferent. Very popular guy inside that Dodger clubhouse, as he was in Tampa. Lonnie Chisenhall bounced to second in his first at-bat. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Chisenhall last year was flirting with 400 through the middle of June and hit but .219 the rest of the way. Grounds to short, easy play for Corey Seager. Couple of steps to the glove side, 2 out and nobody on.
Folks, it's Chevy Truck Month, where you can get great offers on the Silverado and the all-new Chevy Colorado. Now, the 2015 motor truck by the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Chevy trucks, high-strength steel for high-strength dependability, and it's only at your local SoCal Chevy dealer.
2 out, nobody on. Tyler Holt is the batter. Holt starting in right field, where the hope is that Brandon Moss will be the starter for the Indians, but he's had health issues most of the spring. Holt takes a strike. It's 0-1. And a swing and a miss by Holt. No balls and 2 strikes.
Remarkable that last play, and this is spring training. Corey Seager does not really have a Rolodex or really a scouting report, a lot of players. But even in spring training, the scouting reports, they had moved him over. In fact, he was playing about 20 feet to his left of where he is at the present time with Holt the batter.
0-2, and here comes the pitch. Low in the dirt. And off the shin guard of Chris O'Brien, 1-2.
But the point was getting to is that, and again, not to just pump up Corey Seager, but the way we have seen him read an at-bat. Is the guy late on a swing? Is he early on a swing? And then how he reads the ball is really impressive.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Howell into the wind. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So J.P. Howell said he was feeling fine when we talked to him yesterday. Strutting his stuff this afternoon. Retires the Indians in order in the 5th. Strikes out 2 of them. After 4.
and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the donor.
Well, this should be a fun bottom half of the fifth. Corey Seager to be followed by Scott Schebler and catcher Chris O'Brien against Corey Kluber, who has thrown 46 pitches through 4 innings. 13 of the 15 batters he has faced have seen a first pitch strike. And Seager, on the first pitch strike, fouls it up the first base line, and it's 0-1. Seager walked in his first at-bat. His 7th walk of the spring.
Just has an idea where the strike zone is. Doesn't stand right on top of the plate. He's a fair distance away. For those watching on Sportsnet LA, we showed that right foot with the toe pointed in.
The 0-1 is high and away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And hitters will do different things to trying to collect their body at some point in time. Just wonder if Seager didn't fly open and hit upon something that works for him.
Stands practically upright. The 1-1 is high and away, 2-1. Don Mattingly made an interesting comparison the other day about Seager and his hitting style and stance. Said it was reminiscent of John Olerud. Boy, that's high praise. And defensively, Cal Ripken. Oh. Seager badly fooled on a breaking ball. Tied up in knots, swings and misses. It's 2-2. All right, kid, you're 20. You're being compared to Ripken defensively and Olerud with a bat.
Let us know when your shoulders get a little tired.
2-2. Kluber getting the sign from Yan Gomes. Here's the pitch. Call strike 3. Third strikeout for Kluber. And that's the first out of the fifth.
Well, Kluber originally signed by the Padres. And he's got an idea on what he is doing. Working the ball in and out. Just watching him maybe between innings. The way he goes about preparing for the inning. It's not just, oh, go ahead and throw 8 tosses. Every pitch that he threw in every inning he's been in today, just watching him, he has been concentrating and angry if he doesn't hit the target.
14 of 16 first pitch strikes. There's a line drive headed toward the right field corner, and it's just foul. Scott Schebler narrowly missing a double. Schebler hit the ball right on the button in his first at-bat, and all he had to show for it was a 4-6-3 double play, but a one-hop scorcher to Michael Vilas.
That's why hitting is so difficult. You do your job as a hitter, and you happen to hit it right on the nose, and it's to a glove. Not only an out, a double play.
The ball just jumps off Schebler's bat. Here's the 0-1. Foul back and out of play, 0-2.
Kluber, by the way, was signed, and you start to look at baseball families. Well, the scout that signed Kluber, Joe Bochy. Yeah, if the name sounds familiar, yeah. His brother is the manager, was the manager of the Padres, and now the manager of the Giants, Bruce Bochy.
0-2 to Schebler. Kluber into the wide. Low and inside, 1-2.
2010, Indians acquired Kluber from the Padres, a 3-team trade.
On 1-2. Chopper over the middle, fielded in front of second base by Francisco Lindor. Throws Schebler out, 2 out.
Schebler running. You cannot take too much time. Liberty defensive. He'll just beat it out if you're not real close.
Yeah, we just saw glimpses of him last spring. We've watched him a whole lot more this year, this spring. He's a player. Defensively solid. Can run very well and power hitter.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind too is a lot of these young players. I mean, physically they're not mature until a couple of years later. I think that's the transition that we saw Schebler from last year to this year.
Chris O'Brien with 2 out and nobody on, and the Dodgers leading 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th on solo home runs by Kike Hernandez and Yasiel Puig. And O'Brien swings and fouls it. 0-1. O'Brien's dad was a really solid major league catcher. Charlie O'Brien. Didn't hit much, but boy, he was a great catch and throw catcher and parlayed a career to more than 15 years. And there's a strike to Chris O'Brien, 0-2.
And his dad was a very popular player when he was with the Mets.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th, 2-1 Dodgers. Kluber into the wind, the righty deals. Swung on and missed, strike 3. 4 strikeouts for Corey Kluber, who has retired the Dodgers in order, 6 in a row after the Puig home run. And we will go to the 6th. Dodgers 2-1. Paco Rodriguez becomes the 4th Dodger pitcher of the afternoon. J.P. Howell pitched a perfect 5th. Struck out 2, 9 pitches, 8 strikes. Meanwhile, Paco has been terrific this spring. This is his 6th outing. No runs and 3 hits in 5 innings. And if you got into your car when the game began, you could have listened to us and already be at the Chumash Casino Resort, located in the beautiful Santa Barbara wine country, 2 hours north of L.A. For more information, visit ChumashCasino.com. David Huff, 3 innings, no runs and a hit. Joel Peralta, 1 run, 1 hit in 1 inning. J.P. Howell and now Paco. Dodgers will still be trotting out Chris Hatcher, Yimi Garcia, and David Ardsma. New catcher for the Dodgers, Sean Zaraga. So Chris O'Brien went 0 for 2. And here comes the first pitch. Paco Rodriguez to Francisco Lindor. And it's a ball inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Dodgers have a new second baseman in there, Adam Law, taking over from Kike Hernandez, and Lindor takes inside, 2-0. Two weeks from tomorrow, it counts. Dodgers and Padres, 1:10, Monday afternoon, April 6th. The 2-0 is a call strike, 2-1. There was a A year ago today, the Dodgers opened the season in Sydney, Australia, with a 3-1 win over the Diamondbacks. Behind Kershaw. High chopper. Paco Rodriguez picks it up. Throws to Scott Van Slyke for the first out of the 6th inning. It was a challenging first half of the season last year for the Dodgers. Trip to Australia. Michael Bourne is now the batter. Each of the last 2 years, the Dodgers found themselves 9 or 9.5 games out of first place. And then Mattingly's boys went into overdrive. He's sitting next to Tommy Lasorda and Rick Honeycutt on the Dodger bench. So they're going to foul back and out of play. And it's 0-2. Many times in spring training, you'll see the managers and coaches sitting in bridge chairs in front of the backstop. Well, managers are inside the dugouts today. Here comes the 0-2 to Michael Bourne. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
Good breaking ball, and Bourne just could not stay on it.
Paco Rodriguez retires his first 2 batters.
For that big sweeping breaking ball.
But Paco is on. Left-handed batters would rather be somewhere else. Mike Aviles has singled, stolen a base, and bounced to second base. And he takes a ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Michael Brantley is on deck. Paco delivers a fastball this time for a strike. 1-1 to Aviles. The Indians have bullpen activity. That's probably the end of the line for Kluber, as Paco misses inside and low. 2-1 to Aviles. Tomorrow, Chris Anderson will be pitching for the Dodgers. Brandon McCarthy would prefer to pitch on one of the backfields tomorrow. Wants to work on some stuff. And a ground ball to third. Nice play by Guerrero. Throws across the diamond. That ends the inning. Guerrero, early in spring, Tim Wallach said to Don Mattingly, strike Guerrero over third base. He looked quite comfortable over there. Guerrero makes a nice play. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Dodgers 2-1. Fans in celebration of the great Jackie Robinson join the Dodgers on Wednesday, April the 15th, when they meet the Mariners at Dodger Stadium at 10 past 7. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive an adult Jackie Robinson replica jersey presented by Bank of America. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Adam Law is leading it off for the Dodgers. Here in the bottom of the 6th, they lead 2-1. Law having replaced Kike Hernandez, who did his job today. Leadoff home run and robbed of a base hit in his second at-bat. And Law takes a strike. It's 0-2. Carl Crawford is on deck. Yasiel Puig to follow. Someday Law will be wearing a better number than he is at the moment. 86. Fouls it back and out of play. Law played collegiately at Brigham Young. 12th round pick of the Dodgers 2013. Hit .273 in Rancho last year. No home runs, 37 runs batted in. Right-handed batter waggles the bat as he awaits the pitch and swings and misses. He's been struck out by Corey Kluber. For Kluber, his 5th strikeout of the game. 1 out, nobody on, and Crawford coming up. Carl today has bounced to second and has been struck out. Dodgers 2 runs and 3 hits. The Indians 1 run, 2 base hits. Kluber, the Cy Young Award winner last year. The American League delivers a breaking ball, no 1 ball and no strikes. There's a foul off to the left and out of play, and the count 1-1.
Even in spring training, I mentioned with Seager earlier about scouting reports. Are you going to position? Indians figure if Crawford hits the ball on the ground, it'll be to pull. Infield's to pull, but if it's in the air, it'll be to left field. There's a big gap in right center field.
Now the 1-1. Blowing outside, 2-1. Four pitchers in Indians history have won the Cy Young. Give you a second to think about it. 2-1. Lined off to the left and out of play, 2-2. Gaylord Perry, CC Sabathia, Cliff Lee, back-to-back years, and Corey Kluber. Indians have had many great pitchers over the years, but don't forget the Cy Young Award didn't come into being until 56, I think. Crawford has to get out of the way, spins out of the way of the fastball. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Bob Feller, Bob Lemon. Crawford fouls it back. All great pitchers before the award.
And another big left-hander, too, that caused a lot of problems. Sudden Sam McDowell.
Yep.
McDowell had a terrific fastball, good curveball, good slider, decent changeup.
And good night. The 3-2 to Crawford. Ball strike 3.
Ooh.
Crawford threw his bat toward the third base dugout, and then he walked to the third base dugout. And Terry Francona is going to come out and get Kluber and make a pitching change.
A wide strike zone.
Crawford saying, "Why me?" So a pitching change here for the Indians. I think it's Austin Adams coming in. We'll check it for you when we come back. 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the 6th. Dodgers 2 and the Indians 1. The pitcher for the Indians, Austin Adams, spent his season last year at AAA with an ERA of 2.5. And opponents hit about 2.25 against him. Meanwhile, Corey Kluber seems like he's about ready for opening day. 5 2/3, couple of runs, 3 base hits, couple of solo home runs. One for Kike Hernandez in the first and one for Yasiel Puig in the 4th. And speaking of Puig, he'll be the first batter that Austin Adams is facing. Kluber finished the day 68 pitches, 48 for strikes, 17 of 20 first pitch strikes. Now Puig takes a ball outside and low. 1 ball, no strikes. Van Slyke on deck. 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the 6th. Dodgers up 2-1. And a grounder to short. Backhanded by Lindor. Long throw. Gets the speedy Puig by a step. That will end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We'll go to the 7th. Dodgers 2 and the Indians 1. New pitcher for the Dodgers is Chris Hatcher, who came over in the deal that sent Dan Herron and Dee Gordon to the Marlins over the winter. Hatcher, hard-throwing right-hander, was once a catcher. And last year in Miami, 52 appearances, a 3.38 ERA, and opposing hitters at 2.52 against him. The pitching change is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. There's fresh, and then there's In-N-Out Burger Fresh. Always the highest quality ingredients, always made to order. Never compromise at In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger's all about. Why not stop in after the game? Hatcher's first pitch to Michael Brantley is a ball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Paco Rodriguez pitched a perfect inning. 11 pitches, 7 for strikes. And Hatcher with a ground ball into right field for a base hit. Past the diving Adam Law. The Dodgers make another defensive change. Joey Curletta takes over in left field for Carl Crawford. Crawford today was 0 for 3 and got punched out twice by Corey Kluber. So Brantley with a base hit, and now there's going to be a pinch runner for him. Destin Hood is the pinch runner. Carlos Santana fouls it, and it's 0-1. We're in the top of the 7th, and if you're not in the stadium, you certainly can bring home the taste of the Dodgers' world-famous Chef Burrito loaded nachos by driving to Ralph's and buying Chef Burrito's Carne Asada seasoning. So Hood, pinch running for Brantley, finishes the day 1 for 3, and a hard line drive foul up the first base line. And it's 0-2 to Carlos Santana. In order to get Casey Blake, about 6 years ago now, the Dodgers reluctantly had to give up Santana. 0 for 1 and a sac fly. But the arrival of Casey Blake, a couple of days later, there would be Manny Ramirez, and a few days after that, Greg Maddux. Boy, that was, talk about a surge. No balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Hood at first base. Hatcher deals, and Santana fouls it into the dirt. Count is 0-2.
Casey Blake with a very honest look, and that ball went down and came up and got the right arm of the home plate umpire, Bruce Treckman. Casey, even though he had spent some time at the major league level, would reflect back upon his career and say that, very honest, he spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. And he said, I'm still in awe of the fact that I'm actually playing at the major leagues. He never took a day for granted at this level.
Was universally popular in that Dodger clubhouse, as he was in Cleveland, outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He paid his dues. He respected the game. And Santana has turned in a solid career in Cleveland. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Quick toss to first base. And Hood is back with a head-first slide. Jan Gomes is on deck. Jock Peterson playing pretty much in right center field. Hatcher delivers a fastball, swing and a miss. And it's 1-2 to Carlos Santana. They're playing Santana, switch hitter, batting for the left side as a dead pull hitter. Curletta in left.
And nobody plays him in tightly in the infield either.
He swings real hard. Here's the 1-2. Just outside and low, 2-2. They've been trying to find a position for Carlos Santana. At first a catcher. And they moved him to third. That didn't work out too well either. Now he's at first base. The runner goes on 2-2. Pitch is low. The throw to second base is not in time. Destin Hood steals a base.
Little hesitation by Zaraga, the catcher. I'm not certain if he did not have to re-grip the ball or not. Pretty good jump. Without the hesitation, a very good throw down to the bag. Without that hesitation, maybe having. Well, he did double clutch it.
So now it's 3-2. Santana sac fly, bounced to short and takes a walk. Goes first and second and nobody out. And there's going to be a pinch runner for Santana.
That time of the game.
Jesus Aguilar is the pinch runner. First base coach, one of the great catchers in his day, Sandy Alomar Jr. Now Gomes takes a strike from Hatcher, and it's 0-1. Were those Indians teams 20 years ago? There wasn't an easy out among them. Jacobs Field, now known as Progressive Field, opened in '94. John Hart was the GM. That one is well hit to left center field. Perletta on the run. He can't get it. It's going to go to the wall. Hood will score. Aguilar will arrive at third base. A double for Gomes, and that ties the score at 2. Aguilar wasn't pinch running for his speed. He was just taking over for Santana. Big burly fella. And now there's going to be a pinch runner at second base.
Ball was hit hard. Murphy is the runner. That was a breaking ball, and just going down to get it was Gomes. Carletta did not take in exactly a straight route to get the ball. Doubtful he would have had it anyway.
So the Indians now have second and third, nobody out.
Charlie, that ball to left field when it came back in, it is the only time this spring that we've seen a breakdown in the cutoffs and relays. Both cutoff men were missed.
Hatcher, frustrated with himself, overthrows the fastball. 2 balls and no strikes.
And the reason I mentioned that, and Carolina will be talked about, you have to hit the cutoff man. Those are the things that coaches, they write down. Don Mattingly writes it down as well, and those are things that are addressed after the game. I asked one of the coaches the other day, do you wait until tomorrow? So no, we try to address it today, and then we will talk about it again tomorrow.
On 2-0, a breaking ball to Ryan Rayburn. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And this is the place to discuss it, and particularly with younger players.
And the sooner the better. Lonnie Chisenhall is on deck. Second and third, still nobody out. Hatcher deals inside and low, and the count is 3-1. Jesus Aguilar is the runner at third base, and Taylor Murphy is the runner at second base. And Chris Hatcher is struggling a bit. Three balls and a strike. Second and third, nobody out. 2-2 tie. And a call strike. 3-2. Hatcher's 6th appearance of the spring. 3 runs and 5 hits in 5 innings coming in. Already given up a run and 2 hits and a walk. Here in the top half of the 7th, Hatcher deals a high chopper to short. Seager picks it up, throws across the diamond. In to score is Aguilar. Going to third on the play is Murphy. Rayburn the fielder's choice. The Indians' second run of the 7th. They now lead the Dodgers 3-2.
6-3 on the putout. And Rick Honeycutt is going to make a trip out to the mound, the Dodgers pitching coach. And
Van Slyke will join the conference.
You know, on that play, Charlie, let's talk some baseball. There was an interesting decision that had to be made by Corey Seager, and that was that he saw that the runner in front of him, Taylor Murphy, who came in to pinch run for Gomes. Do you take the sure out, that being the out at first base, or do you take the out here? For those that are watching this simulcast, Seager is right there, but he had one problem. He could not get the runner because Guerrero, the third baseman, had made a move to the ball. So Seager played it exactly as he should have, because he was not absolutely positive that his third baseman could have retreated enough to get the throw and get that runner between second and third.
Now the Dodgers bring the infield in for Lonnie Chisenhall, who takes a ball low, 1 ball and no strikes. From here, it didn't appear that Guerrero had any sort of a chance to get back, and he would have had to run backwards in order to do it.
And now the infield's playing in
for Chisenhall, who lost one foul to the left and out of play, and the count is 1-1.
Yeah, the previous play, you're not going to play the infield in with runners at second and third. Ground ball, you don't have the lateral movement. Could be 2 runs on a ground ball, not hit particularly hard. But in this instance, everybody playing in, with the exception of Van Slyke at first, who's slightly behind the baseline.
1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Infield in, Chisenhall drills one down the right field line, foul. Well, Hatcher's not fooling anybody today.
Hatcher has not really been able to get the good fastballs. An above average fastball, he's been clocked as high as 96, but normally it's going to be around 92, 93.
Chisenhall's bounce to second, bounce to short, takes a fastball up and in.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. Just not that good a command with the fastball.
Dodgers playing in front of another big crowd today. 12,349, and Chisenhall drills one toward the right field corner. It is a fair ball. Murphy will come in to score. It'll be a grounds rule double for Lonnie Chisenhall. 3rd run of the inning. 4-2 Cleveland.
I'd like to know what the conversation was with Rick Honeycutt. To his right-hander, Hatcher. Trying to come in with some kind of a breaking ball, but for Hatcher, not a good inning and not a particularly long inning.
And a good night to Hatcher, as Mattingly's going to come out and get him. So the Indians have come up with 3 here in the 7th. They take a 4-2 lead. We're going to take a break and come right back. Jimmy Garcia, who's had a very good spring. Now his 9th outing, 10 innings. Got a 1.8 ERA, and opponents hitting 171 against him. Actually, those were last year's numbers. This year he's been even better in spring. In 5 games, no runs, 1 hit in 5 2/3 innings. Mattingly was saying the other day that there are only 2 secure spots in the bullpen. Joel Peralta and J.P. Howell. Everybody else is on audition status. And Garcia certainly is staking a claim so far this spring. A fellow named Ronnie Rodriguez pinch hitting or pinch running for Chisenhall at second base. As Tyler Holt takes a strike, 0-1. Holt is 1 for 2. Indians with 3 in the 7th, and a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Four runs, 5 hits for the Indians, 2 runs and 3 hits for the Dodgers. Garcia on 0-2, swung on it, missed, strike 3.
Breaking ball away, and Holt had no chance.
Badly fooled.
Confidence in young pitchers in particular on that mound. Garcia has a tendency to kind of surround the breaking ball and not throw all the way through it. But back-to-back breaking balls, and Holt is gone.
2 out. And Francisco Lindor, switch hitter, batting from the left side, takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-1. Yimi Garcia, 6'1", 210. He'll turn 25 in the middle of August. He's out at the Dominican. Dodgers signed him as a non-drafted free agent in the winter of 09. Bunted up the third base line. Garcia tried to pick it up with his bare hand, and it kicked off his bare hand and into foul territory, and a base hit for Lindor.
So difficult to calm your nerves. Garcia may have been better advised to let the ball go. It's going to be a base hit even if you field it cleanly. There is a chance with that ball rolling on the dirt part of the third base line it could have gone foul.
So the Indians have first and third, 2 out. And Bradley Zimmer is the batter. His first at bat. Michael Bourne went 0 for 3. Zimmer takes a strike. It's 0-1. Television only tomorrow. Sportsnet LA, and will be on the air at 1 o'clock. Chris Anderson will pitch for the Dodgers against Daniel Hudson for the Dodgers and the D-backs tomorrow. Tuesday is an off day. Everybody can kind of take a deep breath. Wednesday, the Padres will be here. Thursday, the Dodgers and White Sox will play here. White Sox will be the home team, and next Friday, the Dodgers and the Giants. Zimmer tried to check his swing. It was a strike. 0-2. 2 out, 3 in, top of the 7th. 4-2 Cleveland. Chris Hatcher, a tough afternoon. Now Garcia on 0-2. Fastball, foul ball. Off to the left. Zimmer is the 8th batter of the inning. Michael Martinez on deck. So the Indians have replaced just about everybody by now. Here's the 0-2. It's inside and low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Regular season begins 2 weeks from tomorrow. Talk to the players. It's still 2 weeks too far away. They're ready to go. Here comes the 1-2. Zimmer fouls it off to the left and out of play.
That's why that freeway series is, I've always felt, is a huge series for ball clubs to get into it. The Dodgers and Angels have the tradition of playing the freeway series because you're back home, you're in major league stadiums, and that's when the adrenaline starts to go, and you're seeing the stage lit up very brightly.
One ball, 2 strikes. Zimmer takes call, strike 3. Hard slider, fighting on the inside corner. But the Indians come up with 3 runs on 4 hits and leave 1. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Cleveland 4, Dodgers 2. Other half of the 7th inning stretch. And the Indians 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors. The Dodgers 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors. And we'll pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday coming to you from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. 7th inning stretch. The Indians score 3 in the top half of the 7th inning off Chris Hatcher, who didn't do especially well today. Retired just 1 batter and gave up 3 runs and 4 base hits. 20 pitches, 20 for strikes. I'm sorry, 10 for strikes. 20 pitches, 10 strikes. David Huff started for the Dodgers today. 3 innings, no runs and a hit. Peralta pitched an inning, 1 run, 1 hit. Howell was perfect, striking out 2. Paco Rodriguez another perfect inning. But Hatcher ran into a patch of rough road. Scott Van Slyke leads off. And the first pitch from Austin Adams is a high chopper to third. Easy play. 1 out, nobody on as Van Slyke grounds to third base.
Changes.
Oh,
we have changes.
And we're about to have another one as Terry Francona is going to get himself a new pitcher.
On cue.
Well, we'll have time to regroup as Francona gets the ball from his young pitcher. We're going to take a break. 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the 7th. Indians 4 and the Dodgers 2. 29-year-old Nick Hagedorn, 6'5" and 230. In 35 appearances with the Indians last year. 1-0 and a 2.7 earned run average, and opposing hitters hit just .214 against him. Struck out 27 and walked 6.
That guy at the University of Washington. In fact, he teamed up with a teammate, Tim Lincecum. In college, a combined no-hitter.
And Jock Peterson, lefty against lefty. Peterson rips it foul behind the plate, 0-1. Good hack for Peterson. Jock today, though, is 0 for 2. He's still hitting over 400. 1 out, nobody on. Alex Guerrero on deck. Hagedorn set chest high, and here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes.
That's swinging around the ball right there. A little breaking ball that was down and away. Talk about Peterson, like most young players, especially left-handed batters against left-handed pitchers, making sure you keep the front side in. He has a tendency to open the door a little bit too soon.
No balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on, 7th inning. 4-2 Cleveland. Ball strike 3 inside corner at the knees. Down goes Peterson, 0 for 3 today. He's been struck out twice. 2 out and nobody on.
Fastball, and he may have been looking for a breaking ball.
Certainly at the lower region of the strike zone. And Guerrero coming up. Guerrero, an infield hit. He's grounded out. Call strike, 0-1. Guerrero is 11 for 31. Made a nice defensive play at third base today. The 0-1 on the way. Swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Alexander Guerrero. Corey Seager is on deck. Indians have a bunch of new faces out there now.
Boy, do they.
2. Popped up. Michael Martinez is underneath it. He'll make the catch, and that will end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the 8th. 4-2 Indians. A good-sized crowd for the Dodgers on this Sunday afternoon at Camelback Ranch in Glendale. 12,349 on a sun-soaked Sunday afternoon. Yimi Garcia faced 3 batters in the 7th, struck out 2, and an infield hit. Begins the 8th. The Dodgers have a bunch of replacements out there now. Michael Martinez leads off for the Indians and fouls it back. It's 0-1. Destin Hood is on deck. A 3-run 7th for the Indians, and they've got the 4-2 lead. A call strike from Garcia to Martinez, and it's 0-2. Dodgers 2 runs today came from Kike Hernandez, a leadoff home run, and Yasiel Puig hit a solo shot in the 4th. Garcia is the 6th Dodger pitcher of the day, and Martinez pops it into short left field, now in foul territory, and making the play, the new third baseman Jarrett Cunningham. Nice play.
A couple of other changes. Travis Witherspoon is in center field. Schebler moves from right to left, and Curletta moves from left to right.
So Schebler moves to left field. Seager, Schebler will be the 1-2 hitters for the Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th. There's a big breaking ball for a strike to Destin Hood from Yimi Garcia. Every time he's gone out here, Garcia, he's pitched well for the Dodgers this spring. Here's the 0-1. Fastball, swing and a miss. 0-2. Very interesting.
Guys that take the mound, Charlie, that just have a little, and we hear the term electricity in their arm. Well, Yimi Garcia falls in that category. Well, he doesn't throw it over 100 miles an hour. Doesn't have to, but he's just very interesting in his approach.
Fastball fouled off to the right and out of play.
Okay, some of the coaches, and there's some things that they will not disclose, and we respect that. But coaches are high on Garcia.
Oh, 0-2, breaking ball popped up right side, and Zaraga, the catcher, runs out of room. Daniel Mayora has taken over for the Dodgers at first base. Jarrett Cunningham is at third base. Seager still at short. Adam Law at second base. 0-2. Call strike 3. Yimi Garcia. His 3rd strikeout.
Well, that's just gas, a perfect location.
He's been very interesting to watch this spring. Two out, and Jesus Aguilar is the batter. He's a large man. Right-handed hitter. And takes a fastball outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
6'3", 250 is how he's listed.
Who's to argue?
AAA hit 304.
Out of Venezuela. Takes inside, 2 balls and no strikes. He'll turn 25 at the end of June. Indians signed him as a non-roster or non-drafted free agent 8 years ago when he was 16. There's a strike. 2-1. Top of the 8th. Indians 4-2. And the 2-1 is outside and low. 3 balls and a strike.
Zaraga gave the sign. Then he started to set up way inside. Home plate umpire Bruce Dreckman was moving with him, and then Zaraga moved to the outside at the last second. So you're trying to trick the hitter, but you're also wanting to get the call from the guy behind you.
The 3-1 from Garcia into center field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. So Aguilar, a 2-out single into center.
Just reminded of something I looked down at one of the periodicals. You and I both have the same edition. Remember on the 1st of July, these two ball clubs were playing at Dodger Stadium? The contested triple play that went in the favor. 2 different reviews of the triple play.
Well, that was the first triple play ever determined by a replay. Taylor Murphy lines a single into right center field, boxed for a moment by Witherspoon. And then Joey Curletta comes over, picks it up. By the time he gets it back into the infield, the Indians now have second and third and 2 out, and Garcia looks like he's beginning to run out of gas.
That triple play very quickly. Adrian Gonzalez was the batter, nobody out. D. Gordon at third, Yasiel Puig at first. Gonzalez hit a fly ball to Michael Brantley in left. Brantley made the catch for the first out, threw home to Yan Gomes to get Gordon for the second out. Gomes saw Puig headed towards second base and threw to Kipnis, but Puig was called safe. Now Terry Francona challenged the play. Puig was called out. That completed the triple play, and then Don Mattingly appealed.
Murphy
no avail.
is the batter, and it takes a strike.
But the replay was used 2 different times for the triple play.
That is one we're not likely to see again anytime soon. Here's the 0-1, swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes.
The Dodgers did not want to see it that night either.
Audie Suriaco is the Indians batter now. Second and third, 2 out. Garcia deals. Call strike 3, and that ends the inning. He's impressive. Yimi Garcia strikes out 4 in his inning and 2/3 of work. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. 4-2 Cleveland. New pitcher for the Indians, right-hander Anthony Swarzak. Nick Hagedorn went 2/3 of an inning and struck out a batter and gave up nothing else. Swarzak with the Twins last year. And Corey Seager leads it off and takes a strike. It's 0-1. Big rip. And Seager fouls it off to the left. It is 0-2. A couple of weeks ago, actually about 10 days ago, Matt Carson hit a grand slam. The 33-year-old journeyman minor leaguer hit the grand slam here and it was off Swarzak. Big rip by Seager, fouls it back and count holds it 0-2. Seager with Schebler on deck. And then I think it's Zaraga. Swarzak deals and Seager tried to check a swing, went around, and he's been struck out. First out of the 8th. So Seager today has struck out twice and walked. And Schebler bounced into a double play and bounced to short and takes a ball low, 1 ball, no strikes. Shouldn't say he bounced into a double play. He had a one-hop scorcher to the second baseman, a 4-6-3 double play in the second. Fouls it back and the count's 1-1, and he bounced to short in his second at-bat, but hit a long line drive foul ball in that at-bat. From Solon, Iowa, about halfway between Davenport and Cedar Rapids. Here's the 1-1. Fouls it back. 1-2. He's not shy about his swings.
No, not shy at all. Pretty good hand-eye coordination. And Schebler, along with the other guys that are not going to make the 25-man roster, but at the minor league level, you wear the double ear flaps. Partial is just one side or the other.
Here's the 1-2. Inside and low, 2-2.
Those helmets, by the way, they take a little getting used to because it's like trying to hit in a tunnel, a very small tunnel.
Now the 2-2 on the way. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Down goes Schebler, 2 out, nobody on.
And there's a lot of guys that don't like those helmets, but they're mandatory at the minor league level. But the game has a sound. With the double ear flaps, it's a different sound, and it's strange.
Toyota's One for Everyone sales event is now on at your Toyota dealer. It's the perfect time to get a great deal on every member of the fuel-efficient Prius family, including the sporty Prius C and the roomy Prius V. See your SoCal Toyota dealer today. Now Sean Zaraga with 2 out and nobody on. Bottom of the 8th, Indians 4-2. Swarzak delivers a fastball, a swing and a miss, and it's 0-1. Well, it wasn't until about the 50s where hitters wore helmets at all. The 1-1, high and outside, 2-1. And there were many of them would wear kind of like a flap inside the cap, kind of a quasi helmet. And they started wearing what looked like construction helmets early on. 2-1, ground ball off the glove of the pitcher. Picked up by Michael Martinez. Throws out Zaraga. That ends the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We'll go to the 9th. Indians 4-2. So Yimi Garcia goes an inning and 2/3. And gave up no runs, 3 hits, struck out 4, and didn't walk anybody. He was very solid. Hatcher had a tough day. So Garcia fans 4. We go to the 9th, 4-2 Cleveland. And this afternoon's Chumash Casino Resort 9th inning jackpot contestant Darren Fields. If the Dodgers win, Darren will win a free stay and play getaway at the Chumash Casino Resort, located 2 hours north of L.A. in the Santa Barbara wine country. Darren gets a free night stay plus $100 in free slot play. To enter to win, go to am570radio.com. No balls and a strike as Ronnie Rodriguez loses control of his bat. Tyler Holt is on deck. Dodgers and D-backs television only on Sportsnet LA tomorrow. Grounded foul up the third baseline, and the count is 0-2. Chris Anderson will start for the Dodgers. Brandon McCarthy would prefer to work on things on the backfield, and so he was initially scheduled to start against the D-backs. Daniel Hudson, coming off an injury, has had a tough go of it so far this spring, going for Arizona. Ardsma on 0-2 delivers high and inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ardsma's 6th appearance, 2 earned runs, 4 hits in 5 innings, and he strikes out with a batter. Actually, it was Brett Hayes who was batting for Rodriguez. 1 out. Ardsma looking to make a comeback this year. And now here's Holt. He takes high and inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Ardsma delivers another strike. 1-1. So David Huff, 3 innings, no runs and a hit, 29 pitches, 20 for strikes. Joel Peralta, a run and a hit in his inning of work. 13 pitches, 10 strikes, and there's a call strike to Holt, right-handed batter, and it's 1-2. Paco Rodriguez pitched a perfect inning. 11 pitches, 7 for strikes. Hatcher, a third of an inning, 3 runs and 3 hits. He got cuffed around pretty good. Yimi Garcia, an inning and 2/3, no runs, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts. Dodgers 2 runs, a solo home run for Kike Hernandez in the first inning, his 3rd of the spring. Ardsma misses up and in, 3-2. And Yasiel Puig hit his 3rd home run of the spring. A solo shot in the 4th. Puig hit one the other day in Texas. On 3-2, Ardsma deals. Fouled off to the right. And out of play.
15 days till opening day.
But who's counting?
Everybody here is counting.
I'll tell you what, absolutely. Dodgers will break camp here on April the 1st. And then on the 2nd and 3rd down in Anaheim. About a 30-40 mile drive from L.A. due south. Play Thursday night and Friday night. Then the Dodgers and the Angels back in Los Angeles on Saturday at 6:10, Sunday an off day, and then it starts to count on Monday, April the 6th, 2 weeks from tomorrow. On 3-2, hopped up, Foul territory. And here in the first base dugout, Daniel Mayor makes the play for the Dodgers. And that's out number 2 in inning number 9. Sometimes that's a real long drive down to Anaheim.
Well, you leave LA County, go down to Orange County. That is a terrific series historically, because it's a wonderful scene set for the players and the fans too, for that matter.
Francisco Lindor takes low and outside, 1 ball, no strikes. And for the new Dodgers, they can A, get a sense of what Dodger Stadium is all about, and B, they got a couple of days to find some lodging where they're going to stay. Lindor swings and misses, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And for the new players that had not been there before, a chance to update their GPS.
Yeah. Here's the 1-1. Hardsman deals under the knees. 2-1. Indians have 2 good young shortstops. Francisco Lindor, who's up at the moment. And a ground ball back behind second base, picked up, and a terrific play.
Luis Mateo
makes the play, and that ends the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. It's 4. As we go to the bottom of the 9th, last year the Dodgers saw Jeff Manship pitch for the Phillies in 20 appearances, an ERA of 6 2/3, and opponents hit .273 against him. Leading off for the Dodgers here in the 9th, little second baseman Adam Law, his first at bat. Corey Kluber, the American League Cy Young Award winner last year, 5 2/3 today, 2 runs, 3 hits, solo home runs for Kike Hernandez in the first, Yasiel Puig in the 4th. Kluber struck out 6 and walked 1. Law swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
And Manship, that breaking ball over the top slider is really his big out pitch.
Four runs, 8 hits for the Indians, 2 runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. And Law swings and misses. He's been struck out. That is the first out of the 9th.
Right over the top of the breaking ball, so he doubled up back-to-back on the breaking stuff.
So David Huff hopes of being the 6th or perhaps 7th starter for the Dodgers. Certainly did a nice job today. No runs, 1 hit. Could be a long man in relief. Al and Paco Rodriguez were perfect. And Joey Curletta swings and misses, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, bottom of the 9th, 4-2 Cleveland. Manship. Breaking ball, ground ball slowly hit to 3rd. And Curletta runs well, beats the throw. From Taylor Murphy, the 3rd baseman.
Not playing deep behind the bag at 3rd with a 2-run lead here in the 9th inning. Curletta just stretches it out at the last second and makes it.
Well, here's a fellow we've not yet seen before, Spencer Navin. At Rancho, 234 last year. And he bloops a base hit into right field. Because the Dodgers don't have enough ties this spring, 6 of them. They're looking for their 7th. Now Daniel Mayor is coming up. Mayor is 1 for 2 this spring. 4-2 Indians were in the bottom of the 9th. A ground ball to 2nd. There's 1, and there's 2. And the Indians hang on to beat the Dodgers 4-2 on this Sunday afternoon in the desert. For the Indians, 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left 5. For the Dodgers, 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. They left 2.